Welcome back to my gear room. This is where I keep all my stuff when I'm at home. I always think it's gonna look cooler when I film in here, but it never actually captures any of the sides. But yeah, anyways, this is all my stuff, and we're gonna talk about some of that stuff today. This is a bit of a part 2 to the previous video I did called How I Pack for a Ski Tour. If you're like, what previous video? You should go check that out, because we're not gonna talk about typical ski touring gear like beacon, probe, shovel, skins, boots, whatever. This is going to be more specific to ski mountaineering, the dark arts, skiing things that aren't meant to be skied, that have like 70% snow, 30% other obstructions like ice or rocks or whatever. And there's a variety of tactics that we use to deal with those things. This isn't a video about techniques. This is more of a video about gear. So if you're not interested or don't have the skill set yet for ski mountaineering, I recommend going back and watching the other video first. That'll help you more if you're just getting into ski touring. But if you're here to get into some gnarly terrain and you want to know what you should have in your backpack for that, this is the video for you. So right here, I have a lot of gear. Rarely do I have all of this in my backpack for ski mountaineering, but often I have some of it. And for the most part, we're going to talk about different gear that I use in different scenarios and why. What you're actually going to bring for ski mountaineering varies from day to day. There's no one kit I can recommend you that's going to be the go-to, because every objective is a little bit different and will require different stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about that's the biggest difference between ski touring and ski mountaineering is helmets. So whether or not you're bringing a full ski helmet that has these earmuffs on the side and you'll have a full pair of goggles versus bringing a climbing helmet kind of depends on whether or not you're going to be ascending through terrain that has overhead hazards. Usually when I'm ski mountaineering, I'm in terrain that I would consider climbing terrain, so I'm exposed to where rocks or ice could fall on me from overhead. So if my helmet is too warm for me to want to be wearing it on my head while I'm ascending, then often I'll wear a climbing helmet instead. So this way I can just put this on sometimes at the beginning of the day and just be wearing it the whole time. And I'll even, if it's not freezing cold out or storming, which hopefully it's not storming if you're in ski mountaineering terrain, I'll just wear glacier glasses instead of wearing goggles. Another major difference in equipment is what crampon you're going to bring. So in the ski touring video, I talked about these Petzl crampons that are a hybrid. These are not a great ski mountaineering crampon. For one, horizontal points, and also because they have an aluminum backplate. So if I'm going to be doing any ice climbing, I might want a more robust crampon like the Petzl darts. So the thing with that is that these have a vertical point, which is meant for ice climbing, and the whole crampon is steel as opposed to aluminum. So if I'm walking on rocks, if I'm kicking into blue water ice and doing actual technical ice climbing, a crampon like this you can get away with, but I feel like this is better for mostly snow where you might encounter a little bit of ice and rock, whereas these are more for actual climbing terrain. Another difference is whether or not you're going to bring a mountaineering tool or technical ice climbing tools. This Ice Rock Idol here, which I talked about in the last video, the world's lightest ice axe, is great for self-arrest. It's not great for actual climbing. It's not heavy enough to really stick in the ice. It doesn't have a proper grip. If you're ice climbing back in time in like the 70s, maybe a straight shafted tool is appropriate. But if you're trying to climb longer stretches of water ice, especially anything harder than like WI2 minus, you probably want an actual technical ice tool. These are a little bit more aggressive, but these Petzl Quarks are still on the lighter side. versus having something like a nomic. Generally, I find ski mountaineering, we're encountering short pitches of ice that you can get away with something that's more aggressive than like a gully, but is still less aggressive and less heavy than a nomic. Another major difference, before I get into the nitty gritty, is what kind of harness you're gonna bring. So this harness here, the Misty Mountain Cadillac Quick Adjust, is my normal climbing harness. It's got this nice big back piece. It's got rated leg loops. It's really a fancy harness, but this would be a poor ski mountaineering harness. For one, because it's heavy, and two, you'd have to unlace these straps to put it on if you had ski boots on, which is just less convenient than bringing something like this Petzl altitude harness. As you can see, this is a much sleeker design here. It's a lot lighter. It's a lot thinner. It has these buckles that you can use if you're putting your harness on when you already have ski boots on, so you're not like stomping on your leg loops trying to force your foot through. You do sacrifice a little bit here. This harness is ideally not meant to take a whipper in. This is just for rappelling, for preventing you from dying if you were to have an unexpected fall while you're leading something, or if you were to plunge into a crevasse, but you're not anticipating taking whips in it like a day of sport climbing. So a harness like this is much better suited for ski mountaineering. Now let's talk about some more specific stuff. What are you actually going to bring and why? So this comes down to, like I said earlier, knowing your objective. If you are in a place like I am, like the New England area, the White Mountains, we have a lot of water ice in our ski mountaineering lines. Whether or not I'm going to bring a bunch of ice screws or just one V-thread screw depends on whether I'm planning to actually lead ice or if I'm just soloing the ice and I'm gonna be rappelling back over it. That is up to your comfort level and risk tolerance, but the harder ice that you anticipate leading, generally the more screws you're gonna wanna bring, and you're always gonna wanna have a bigger screw. This is to build A threads and V threads, which if you don't know what those are, don't learn them from me right here, go learn from an instructor, but they're an ice anchor that you use to rappel. I would say your best case scenario is to get a V-thread. That's one of the strongest and simplest anchors you can build in ski mountaineering, but this isn't always the case. We might be rappelling over rock, or we might be in a situation like in Damnation Gully where there is ice, but it's over the edge of the thing we're rappelling. So you want to build a rock anchor situated above where the ice is. Bringing some rock gear can be really essential. These are nuts. These fit in cracks and can be left for rappel anchors. Generally, you want to leave at least 2. I leave 3 because I like to play it a little safer. So bringing a couple key sizes, if not all of these, if you're anticipating having to build a rock anchor to rappel, can be awesome. The one downside to rock anchors is that you don't know what size crack you're gonna get unless this is a route you've already climbed before and are planning to do a ski descent of, and you just have your anchor written down. Pitons, in all of the ski mountaineering descents that I've done, I've only used these on one line in Baffin Island. These are actually nailed into the crack with the hammer of your ice tool. And these come in different sizes. These are called knife blades here. These go in super thin cracks and are pretty scary. And then these are called lost arrows. These are a little thicker. Hopefully anything thicker than, this lost arrow, I think this is a number 4, you can get a more modern nut or a tri-cam or something in. These are tri-cams. I haven't seen anybody else talk about these for ski mountaineering. But in a couple separate occasions, Odell Gully comes to mind, I've used a tri-cam and a rappel anchor. These are a nice alternative to having to bring and leave expensive cams, or if you have a situation where you have a crack, but not one that's tapered and will take a nut super well. These things have an active mode, and they can also be slotted passively like a nut. So they can get you out of a jam if you don't have the right equipment for a particular crack. So I'll carry these on me if I'm like anticipating building a rock anchor and don't know what I'm gonna need. For snow anchors, if you were mountaineering, you might consider bringing a picket. But generally, this is way too bulky than I would ever want to bring ski mountaineering. And the purpose of a picket is to build a snow anchor. But we have all sorts of stuff that we can bury to make dead man anchors. We have our skis. We can bring stuff sacks and we can fill them with snow and clove hitch a sling around them. And this is so much lighter and less bulky than a picket. I've actually never had to leave a snow anchor in a ski mountaineering situation before. I've only ever had to leave V-threads or rock anchors, or I've been able to sling a tree in the line or something. I'm sure that day will come eventually, but this is a technique I know of, bringing a stuff sack and filling it with snow for a dead man. What you're actually gonna bring on your harness. So I find I always wanna have anchor material on my harness. This is a quad length sling that you can use to belay from above and to build any sort of other anchors. This is a cordelette. These both serve the same function. They're anchor building material, but this one you can untie. So if I'm leaving multiple rappel anchors, maybe I'm taking my knife and I'm cutting specific lengths of cord or tubular webbing, so I don't have to leave the entire thing in the anchor. I can just use exactly what I need, and then I still have more to get me out of whatever the next situation may be. I always have a double length sling on me for my rappel extension, and then I have this hollow block cord to make a friction hitch for rappelling. I always have my HEC guide, so if I need to reascend a rope or belay from above, I can do that. Mostly serves as my rappel device, and then I have that on a small locker. I also have two other lockers with me at a minimum. One of these will be to opposite and oppose in my rappel device if I'm rappelling with a rad line or another super thin cord, so I can get a little bit more friction. The other one will be for my rappel extension, so I can tether into an anchor. And maybe I'll bring one or two more lockers just in case I need them for any other system, like a rescue system. It's always good to have some lockers on you, so balancing what you're anticipating needing with how much weight you're willing to carry is a personal choice. And then for me, I carry a couple non-lockers on me just to clip stuff if I need to. These are just really like convenient to have on you. And I carry a micro traction for either crevasse rescue if I'm in glaciated terrain, or for other rescue systems if I get into a jam rappelling. And if I'm bringing stuff like nuts, I'll bring a nut tool. Sometimes you don't get the right placement right away and you might want to pop it out and then reset it. You can also use it to dig ice out of cracks. Your tool will work for that too. But this could be something that others would choose to leave behind, but I bring it. And then lastly, what kind of rope you're bringing. So most of my ski mountaineering has been done with this Petzl rad line. It's a 60 meter 6 mil rope. That's awesome. This thing is so light and you get so much bang for your buck. You can use it for glacier travel, you can use it for rappelling, and being able to do full 30 meter wraps just saves you so much trouble. It's worth having this over the 30 meter. And it's so light, so easy to use. There's considerations, like I said, you'll need to create more friction if you're using an HEC. They make special rappel devices for this that I don't know how to use and don't own. So you can look that up if that's something you're interested in. But this thing is awesome. The one downside of it is that it is a static cord. It is not dynamic. So I don't know why you'd want to lead on a 6 mil. That'd be sketchy. But even if you could lead on a 6 mil. Because it's static, taking a whipper on one of these would be really bad. So if I'm actually leading in terrain that's not like just free soloing so I can put it up for my partner, I'll bring a real 60-meter rope. I rarely find that I need this for most ski mountaineering lines. Generally, I'm not climbing in terrain that's like all that extreme. Just like WI3 and below ice, maybe a mixed step or something. But I use this a lot for link ups. Like we're gonna climb this long technical ice climbing route like Pinnacle Gully, where it really is like a multi-pitch ice route. It's not a ski line. But we're gonna climb that, and then we're gonna walk over and ski down something else. You might wanna bring a proper 60-meter climbing rope. To finish off, what kind of backpack you're gonna bring to carry all this stuff. Like I said in the last video, I think the Black Diamond Cirque bag is the best backpack in the world. It can carry skis on the sides, it can carry ice tools on the back with these little Velcro straps and this little spot to tuck things in. It can carry your helmet as well if you're not in the terrain where you want it on your head. It can carry a rope somehow in between all of that and still fit everything else inside. It's got a separate pouch for your Avi gear in here. It's really my go-to backpack for ski mountaineering, and it's been on my back for every cool thing I've ever done before. Yeah, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped clarify some things about ski mountaineering that you might have not known and might find interesting and useful. If you're looking to do your first ski mountaineering descent, if you've done lots of ski mountaineering descents and you just want to know a little bit more, I hope you found this helpful. If you want to know more about what I bring for a general ski tour and what else is in my backpack, you can watch my other video, How I Pack for Ski Touring. I'll link that above and you can just click on that. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and let me know what you want to see in the future.